Hello and welcome everybody to Amateur Hour Sports. Back at it for another Tuesday off-season stream here. Another week where I started off by failing to hit the initial goal for content, trying to do Monday, Wednesday, Friday. But I have a very good reason once again here, but we'll get to that a little bit later on here. Happy to be here for Tuesday. Excited for this one. A bunch of Raptors content to discuss. We're going to be looking at who the Raptors just gave some pre-draft workouts to. Discuss maybe some, well, we'll do our best to discuss what sort of plan they have based on the people that they were looking at in pre-draft workouts, among others, but the most recent report is what we're going to go through today. We're going to talk about a potential free agent signing for the Raptors in the center position, what that might look like, how that could shake up the team, would it make sense for the team to do, and as well, we will be discussing... So some funny content from a former Raptor. Again, that'll be a little bit later on in the stream, but thought at the start as well, we would cover the NBA Finals set to get started on Thursday. I'm going to be live streaming doing a watch party for that game on the Board HQ YouTube channel. That's with my work at the Board HQ. You head on over there. I'll be live streaming for the entire game. And I'd like to be streaming here on Amateur Sports for the Sunday game. So stay tuned for that. Tons of great content on the way. As always, got a video out today. Didn't do it yesterday, but did get a video out today. So, I did something. I caught up a little bit. I messed up with content yesterday. But, yeah, I'm back on track for the week. Going to get the 3 videos out as I always plan to do. How's everybody doing? How is your week going? How is your weekend? My outdoor soccer season just began, which is awesome. I played, which is even more awesome because I wasn't sure if my knee would hold up, but it did. Awesome. It did hold up. So I'm happy about that. Going to be playing pretty much every Sunday throughout the summer. So I could not be happier with that. But how about you guys? What's been happening? What's been going on? We got Sumaya in chat saying we need to trade Bruce Brown. Raptors will be working on doing that. Sorry for all the self-plug here, but I did actually talk more extensively about Bruce Brown. If you've seen all the stuff on my channel, you probably wouldn't have gotten much new stuff on Bruce Brown, but you would have gotten new stuff on some other players involved. I was live on the Bleacher Report app earlier today. I'll put the link to that in the chat for you guys to check out. But yeah, I'm self-plugging a lot right now. But yeah, this is a pretty organic one here. Mentioning Bruce Brown. I talked about Bruce Brown a lot. But check out my Bleacher Report stream. Of course, wait until this stream is done, because I want you to watch this one first. But if you do feel so inclined to check out my Bleacher Report stream later today, I just fired the link in the chat. Danbury Sports Highlights is here. It's the Gary is here. Phoenix is here as well. And Nick Killer, Reggie Miller, Thomas Perry. Thank you so much for joining. One of the members. Phoenix, good way to open up here. Not Raptors related, but the JJ hiring for the Lakers is not as bad as people think it is. I don't know. This is a risky one. Let's be real here. This is a really risky one for the Los Angeles Lakers. If you guys haven't seen, the Los Angeles Lakers are, quote, zeroing in on JJ Redick to be their next head coach. He's only got experience coaching kids. He's never had experience coaching at the NBA level. It's just a big job to throw him into. You want to throw a guy into a job, maybe do you try him on the Wizards, the Hornets or something? I don't know. But stepping into likely the most difficult job in basketball is quite the first step into coaching. But clearly they like what they see. Is there a relationship with LeBron that they want to tap into? It's a strange one. It's a surprising one. It's a strange one. Yeah, I'm not so sure. How are we feeling about this? What do you guys think? I think he's the right mind, but I think he's got the right basketball mind for this. But there's a lot to coaching beyond just the X's and O's stuff, the basketball stuff. There's a lot that goes into coaching as well, especially for the Los Angeles Lakers. That's my thing with this one. It's interesting. I always thought he had the potential. So, hey, he's getting thrown into the deep end, and that's probably even putting it lightly still, honest to goodness. Yeah, it does kind of remind me of the Steve Nash hiring with the Nets. Obviously, two different people. Steve Nash did have coaching experience with the – no, not – actually, he wasn't a coach. He was part of the Golden State Warriors staff. I forget what exactly his role. I don't think he was a coach or an assistant coach, but it does give me some Steve Nash vibes a little bit. But I'm excited to see how it turns out. I'm really excited to see how it turns out. I think it's got such a wide range of outcomes here. I think it could be a master stroke and he's like amazing, and I think it could be the exact opposite of that as well. It's very interesting. Jason Kidd, an ex-player, is quite literally the reason why Giannis is who he is, empowering him to be into being a ball handler early part of his career. I guess part of that Jason Kidd had a say with, but we can find. Yeah, you're right. We can find bad examples like Steve Nash. We can find perhaps good examples like Jason Kidd, who's now coaching the NBA Finals. Yeah, all I can say, it'll be interesting. That's for sure. By the way, guys, stream today. Going to be going about an hour. We're 10 minutes in. Going to be going until about 7 o'clock today with a few topics. Sorry for yesterday. I keep saying I want to be on track with uploads, and I very much do. Last week, had the at-home issues that I spoke about, dealing with that. Doing really well dealing with that. If anybody didn't know, kind of gross, but we found bed bugs in the apartment. We're handling it very well. We haven't even seen any in a couple of days. They got to be scouring in the wall somewhere. So, we're still taking all the precautions, still doing everything that we need to do to try and eradicate that, eliminate that, and we're doing well. Me and my girlfriend at home. As if, not enough shit had been hitting me lately. Yesterday, the reason I did not do a video early in the morning, my dog was showing signs of having ingested poison. Had to rush to the animal emergency, or the vet emergency clinic. Turns out it was fine. There was nothing. My dog didn't have any issue at all. But yeah, was showing clear symptoms of poison. So wanted to take the necessary step and precaution. Turns out it was nothing. And it's very expensive to take your dog to an animal hospital. So hopefully we have insurance. Hopefully the insurance covers that. Now I know what it feels like to be an American. But that's why I didn't do a video yesterday. It was just an insane day because of that. And happily, you know what? Happy everything's okay. Happy everything turned out fine. Happy everything turned out okay. But instead of doing the video yesterday, did it today. And we'll be hopefully back to normal schedule. I did do the second channel video today still. So if anybody doesn't know what my plan is for content, videos on amateur sports, Monday, Wednesday, Friday. Streams on amateur sports, Tuesdays, and when the basketball season is over, Thursdays as well. So when the finals are done, Thursdays. So 2 streams a week. On the second channel, Amateur Sports 2, I want to do videos Tuesday and Thursday, and sporadically, as we do streams, we're going to have clips and highlights to post on the Amateur Reactions channel. Now, if you watch all the streams live, you maybe don't have necessarily as much of a need for that, but hey, you can watch back some of the best clips, and you can't always watch the streams. So trying to regiment it. Every day of the week, there should be a video coming out for myself, whether it be on here or Amateur Sports 2. There should be 2 streams a week over here. I'm hopefully going to keep you guys entertained throughout the summer. And hey, on top of that, Bleacher Report streams here and there. My next 2 are on the 19th of June at, I want to say, noon. We'll be doing some more Raptors mock trade discussions. And also, I am going to be doing one on the 25th, the eve of the draft. That's also at noon, to do a Raptors mock draft, which that one's going to be very exciting. I think there's going to be a lot of discussion from that one. Jonathan in the chat here says he was at the stream and enjoyed it. Well, thank you so much for being there, and I'm really glad you enjoyed it. Thanks so much for tuning in over there. And hey, honestly, listen, Bleacher Report, they bring me in. They hire me. So the better those do, the more people tune in, and hopefully people enjoy them. The more streams I'm able to do over there, and that's just so awesome. So thank you guys for helping me even get to this point to begin with. But as always, we strive onwards and upwards. All right, let's get into some of the meat of this one. JJ stuff is better than hiring an old fart who isn't in touch with the modern game. That's fair. I agree with that. Which non-Scotty Barnes player next year is capable of making a meaningful leap? For the Raptors? For the Raptors, well, I mean, Grady Dick is capable of making a big jump. Not like to an all-star degree, but he's capable of making a jump. Emmanuel Quickly definitely as well has the ability to make a jump. RJ Barrett, who would be my favorite to make a big jump? I think Grady Dick could really emerge as a starting figure for the team. I really think he can emerge as the lead shooting guard and become a very big presence for the team in that position, especially if Trent does leave as well. I'm drinking the Grady Y2 Kool-Aid. Yeah, I think I've been high on him. I was high on him pre-draft. I was happy they drafted him. I was high on him during the slump to start the season. I feel as though there's a lot of potential for Grady Dick to take a big jump. How are we feeling NBA Finals? I'll put a poll in the chat who you're feeling. Who do you think is winning it all? And I word it specifically. Who do you think is winning it all? Because I know none of you want the Celtics to win. But who do you think is winning it all? It's tough for me to argue with the Celtics. I do feel as though the Mavericks are good enough to beat them and have some stuff to throw at Boston that can make life difficult. But you got to feel Boston's a better team, especially if Kristaps Porzingis is playing. What's the max you would offer for Gary Trent Jr.? Max? Like, at a certain point, I'd just be comfortable letting him walk. I don't think he has a ton of trade value, but if you can backload maybe a $22 million a year contract, that's like the absolute max. I don't really want to go above 20, to be honest. Nathan Taylor in chat jumps in and says, don't even offer, Gary. I think it's worth it to retain the asset at $20 million. At least you might be able to get something down the line. That's not a crippling contract. What is that? Like 15% of your cap. So it's tricky. I'm not a big fan, but he's definitely got talent, and it might be worth retaining just almost for the sake of it. You know what I mean? Phoenix says Boston Celtics as real as my heart's with the Mavs, though. My heart's with the Mavs as well. Listen, I feel like if the Mavs can really make it a tight series, who do you trust more in the clutch? Boston, or do you trust Luka and Kyrie? I think the best two players in this series may play for the Mavericks, at least as far as the clutch is concerned. You could argue Tatum's the second best. You probably say Tatum's the second best player in the series, but you could make a case that when it comes to the late fourth quarter situations, Kyrie takes the cake there. 20 minutes crippling for somebody who is not an asset. I wouldn't call him not an asset, but I thought 20 million was kind of lowballing as well. Interesting. I am like not high on Gary Trent as well. I'm not high. Max 24 over 2 years. I don't. Well, he's not signing for the mid-level exception. Somebody will pay him more than that. I hope to get him around the same as what he's on right now, but yeah. Would have preferred Wolves versus Pacers or Knicks? Well, I would have preferred anybody but Boston. I don't mind the Mavericks being here. I think it'd be cool if Luka won. Not so cool if Kyrie won, but cool if Luka won. Anybody but Boston, and I'm probably happy. But here we are. Boston are on the verge. So chat voting with their heart, I think. 64% of the votes on the Mavericks. Or, hey, maybe I'm just overselling the Boston Celtics. I don't know. Usually, in past years, I've purposely oversold the Celtics to kind of like reverse jinx it. And it's like if the Celtics win, then I told you, if the Celtics don't win, it's fuck you, Boston. I actually am very high in the Boston Celtics this year in a non-reverse jinx, superstitious sort of way. Can this team afford 20 million stars if you sign Gary Trent Jr. to an over 20 million per deal? Down the line, there'd have to be a conversation. For this season, you could do it, especially if you do trade Bruce Brown in the summer. Obviously depends what you take back for Bruce Brown, but I believe they have the space to bring back Gary Trent Jr. You're not going that far higher than what he was making last season, right? could pursue someone in free. Well, I guess quickly's rising up, but the Raptors have a bit more space that's opened up, and part of doing that was acquiring Spencer Dinwiddie at the trade deadline and letting him go for nothing. They opened up the cap space at the end of the season. Could pursue someone in free agency that's 12 to 15 million rather than pay Gary Trent 22. See, I'm with you in my mind. I'm with you. Hey, you could probably find somebody just as valuable for 12 to 15 million dollars, but in reality, that's very much easier said than done for the Toronto Raptors when it comes to free agency. That's what you're just kind of scared about. You're not overselling them. The fifth best player would be their fifth best player would be our second best player. That's an unfortunate truth. Yes. They're loaded top to bottom. It's probably the year they get it done. It should be. If it isn't, my goodness, they're never going to do it. What are your thoughts on Patrick Williams and throwing out an off sheet? I've never really been a fan. I don't think he fits. The Raptors will really struggle to bring somebody in right now who can't shoot. They really got to bring in guys who can shoot. There's just not enough right now. Barnes still, was really good at the start. We'll see what's real about the shooting, but I don't think you can classify him as a shooter. RJ Barrett, again, was amazing for the Raptors. How much will that sustain? Quickly's obviously a good shooter, but I think the Raptors would have an issue if they brought in somebody like Williams who just really does not have a reliable three-point shot. It's spacing is very important right now for the people that bring. Raptors in such a confusing spot, not sure whether to tank for a good 25 pick or not. I don't think they're going to tank, at least out the gate. I think they're going to come out firing and try to win some basketball games. Bring in Najee Marshall. That would be a decently interesting one. It wouldn't cost a lot. I don't mind that one, actually. Yeah, Williams... There's. I know he can. I know percentage-wise he can, but it's just volume. It's respect. Like when it comes to shooting, it's the respect you get. It's like when Dennis Schroeder signed. Yeah, his 3-point percentage is good, but do people guard him? Do people respect that? Not really. Like Williams can take a ton of wide open corner threes, and teams don't really care too much. You know what I mean? So yeah, like you're saying, it's lower volume. It's lower volume over there. Are you open to retrading IQ or RJ? Not right now. Not at all, to be honest. I think the Raptors should stay mostly patient and put with the current team. But that being said, we are talking about free agency. Raptors fans have been clamoring for the team to make a move here. Like, Raptors fans have been clamoring for this team to make a move in the center position. Every time I put a poll up on the channel, I get surprised by the results saying, get a center. Center's the most important position to acquire. Trade Jakob Poeltl. It's strange, but hey, even though I don't agree with it, if the Raptors do go in that direction, one player they could sign to replace him, and perhaps they could be planning on signing to replace him, is in fact former Raptors player Jonas Valanciunas. So let's talk about whether or not this move makes sense, what it would look like if they should do it. So again, reiterating my stance, I personally do not feel as though a Jakob Poeltl trade is the right way to go for this team. But I've seen conversations online, whether it be on Twitter, whether it be in the community section of the Amateur Sports YouTube page, whether it be sometimes in live streams. People want to move on from Jakob Poeltl, and a conversation has centered around previously Jonas Valanciunas. Of course, former Raptor, former lottery pick for the Raptors, 5th overall pick, had some good years with the Raptors, but ultimately was traded halfway through the championship season. I will forever say the Raptors do not win that NBA championship if they do not trade Jonas Valanciunas. A little bit of a knock against JV, but Marc Gasol was the return in that trade. The Raptors could not have beaten the Philadelphia 76ers without Marc Gasol. They barely beat them with him. The Raptors absolutely have not beaten the Milwaukee Bucks without Marc Gasol and his defense. He was an absolute necessity towards winning that NBA championship. But the current situation for the Raptors, do they need a center? If they do, could it be Jonas Valanciunas? The idea for this was sparked by a Toronto Star article asking if the Raptors should bring back Jonas Valanciunas. I went to go read the article, but there's a paywall. So I decided, hey, I'll just take the idea and do it myself. So JV coming off of a decent stint with the New Orleans Pelicans where he started to turn some heads with the shooting and doing so on a not very big contract here. just made $15.5 million last season at 32 years old. He's probably looking for a 2 or 3 year deal if he can, where, how much is he going to be making here? What's the next contract? Honestly, for JV, it's going to be cheaper likely than the $19.5 million that Jakob Poeltl is making. JV produced some pretty good statistics in his time with the New Orleans Pelicans. His role dropped a little bit on a year-to-year basis, but what has fans discussing him a bit more in the Raptors space is the fact that he's shooting the three ball a little bit more than he was in his time with Toronto, especially in the early stage of his Toronto career where he never shot the three ball. Went from 18 points per game a couple years ago with the Pelicans. This most recent season, 12 points per game. So the minutes decrease a little bit, but fine-tuning the role potentially for the player, especially at his current age. Is this the right move for the Raptors to go in this position? Well, here's the thing about Jonas Valanciunas. This is what kind of annoys me. His three-point numbers, 36%, 36%, 35%, 30%. But by the way, dropped to 30% this season. He takes 1.5 3-point attempts per game. Like, even in his final full season with the Raptors, he shot one a game, and in his the one before that, he shot 40% from three on one attempt per game. Like, he's been shooting for a while, but it's super low volume. It's this season at least it wasn't efficient, and when it comes to shooting, like, yes, percentages are good for shooting, but also when it comes to shooting, are players guarding you there? So for JV, that's not the case. Like, they'll let JV shoot. They'll let him have that. He'll take, 1 or 2 a game, but he doesn't shoot the ball that often, and he's not a big threat from the outside and not a big threat for gravity or floor spacing. And on top of that for JV, I don't want to be super rude, but he kind of fits into the what does he do category. He can score on the inside. Yeah. Not a great passer. He's a good rebounder. I'll give him that. He's a great rebounder. He's a great rebounder. Great rebounder, uses his size well, but defensively, every year, the Pelicans go deep, and they can't use him. If the Pelicans get to the play-in tournament, they get to the playoffs, they can't use him anymore. He just gets completely overrun in big game playoff situations. So in the biggest moments, you can't have him on the floor. Now, granted, for the Raptors, you don't have Poeltl necessarily on the floor all the time in the biggest moments. Maybe it depends on the matchup, but I don't think there's any need here for the Raptors to go out of their way to bring in a player who doesn't change things for the Raptors. He gets cooked on defense, I agree. Jakob Poeltl is by far the superior defender. Jakob Poeltl is by far the superior passer, the better pick and roll partner, the better rebounder, and doesn't really lack a ton in like the interior scoring department. Free throws are something people may cite as saying, well, at least JV can go to the line. You can have him on more for late game situations on offense, but there's just such a significant drop-off here defensively that this one just does not make sense for the Raptors. They really need to hone in on a rim protector here. They just struggle so much defensively, this team. And we saw how bad they were without Jakob Poeltl this season. That I don't know. I think the idea of having a different center is better than what would actually look like in practicality here. Jakob Poeltl is 28 years old. People treat him like he's not on the same timeline as the rest of this core here. Like, Emmanuel Quickly's 25. Let me just check if he's a 99 or a 98. Because he is, okay, he's a 99. So, granted, he's 24. I'll give it. He's 4 years younger than Jakob Poeltl. RJ Barrett 5, Scottie Barnes 6. But it's not like Jakob Poeltl's this ancient figure. He's 28 years old. He's got 3 years left on his contract at $19.5 million. That's a great contract. That's a great contract for a starting caliber center. He's a great defender. I don't think he's completely off of a timeline of development here. Not everybody needs to be under 24 years old for this thing to work. He fits really well with this team. And I think above all, he wants to be here. He likes being here. He said it specifically that he wants to be involved with this team. He said specifically he doesn't mind being on a team that's trying to win. He doesn't mind being in this specific situation with the Raptors because they still want to go into a season, try to compete and try to win. So with all that said, JV, I mean, I just do not see the appeal of bringing a player like Jonas Valanciunas into the team. And honestly, I think JV, with all due respect, I really feel as though JV is going to struggle to find another starting spot in the league. So often the New Orleans Pelicans have to go to Larry Nance at center, and Larry Nance is a good player, but the fact that you have to do that with your starting center, it's just not something the Raptors should take on. It's not the type of headache the Raptors need to get themselves involved in. So for that reason, JV, no, it doesn't make sense to me. The conversations then shift towards Nick Claxton. That's a different conversation, but he's going to be a whole lot more expensive, and you still need to figure out a way to get rid of Jakob Poeltl. And I say get rid of as like, he's dead weight. He's a very good player. I really like Claxton, but is that jump in salary necessary for Claxton? How much more does he bring? I don't think he brings enough more to say that it's worth investing that additional fund of the salary cap in towards getting him. Not to mention, again, having to find a way to move on from Jakob Poeltl and maximize the value of that situation. Again, it just doesn't make sense. And none of that makes sense. The Raptors better off just keeping Poeltl, especially if it's JV coming the other way. I'd rather have Poeltl than have to sacrifice more assets for Claxton. I really like Claxton. Listen, I've been on the Nick Claxton wave for years. For 3 years, I've been on the Nick Claxton wave. I made a video 3 summers ago talk about saying the Raptors should get Nick Claxton. But it's just not the right time in this situation here. It just isn't the right time here. I like Claxton, but he's going to be a lot more money than Poeltl, and it just doesn't make sense to sacrifice more assets to bring him in because I don't think he's that much better than Poeltl to be in that one. Send JV to the Lakers. No. I guess because you got 80s defense. No. Why would I don't know. Why would a team sign JV? Really, though. Why would a team sign JV? With all honesty, I don't think no good team is going to sign him. OKC actually needs size and rebound. You know what? OKC could probably do it because they got a lot of switchable players around him that could actually make that make sense. Okay. OKC might do it. I love Isaiah Hartenstein. Speaking of, here's another player I've been on. I was still in university. I was saying we should sign Isaiah Hartenstein. I think the first time I said take a look at this Hartenstein guy, Raptors should look to sign him, was the summer of 2020. 4 years ago, I was talking about Isaiah Hartenstein. Man, but he's another one. It's just passed us by. The window of opportunity there has passed us by to pick him up. It's sad. Jonathan Isaac would be pretty cool. I think that there's a trade that could work that sends Bruce Brown to the Orlando Magic, and they salary dump, if they want a salary dump, at least, that is Jonathan Isaac, and give a pick in the process. Don't know how much they're going to be willing to move on from Isaac, but he's always injured. I don't know. Do they want Bruce Brown for a year? Free up that cat space? Who knows? Tyus is a free. I think somebody's going to throw him out again. Listen, I love Tyus Jones. He's another guy. I adore Tyus Jones, but man, I wish he could be a back. I wish he could start somewhere. I think he's good enough to start somewhere. Wouldn't happen in Toronto, but he's very good. He's very good. Need Alperen Sengun. Yeah, a type. Well, so does everybody, to be honest. Right? They're hard to find. It's floor spacing centers. Everyone wants one. Here's the trade I had. A pick, Jonathan Isaac. If they want a salary dump, get a player who actually plays, maybe. Who knows? Maybe. Should maybe dabble with it, Orlando. Right? At least that's what I think. Raptors end up with Taylor Horton Tucker. That almost happened. It was the Kyle Lowry saga from a few years ago. In fact, that was the sticking point. The Lakers did not want to trade THT. That's why the Lowry trade was impossible with the Lakers. I'm not sure that would have happened anyways. And you mentioned Claxton. I never mentioned, as Tony says, but when I mentioned Claxton, when I mentioned Raptors were interested in Claxton, you said they wouldn't be interested in a player like him. Of course they'd be interested in a player like him, but I don't think there's going to be interest there in like a concrete sense of they're going to make an approach there. I disagree. I think he's a great player. I really like Nick Claxton, but there's bigger priorities, and Jakob Poeltl's still here. The effort should be pushed in different directions, in my opinion. All right, let's shift to. We wanted Thibault, that's why we ain't getting back. I know. Don't remind you about the Tyrese Maxey almost trade. If anybody doesn't know, pretty concrete reports say the Sixers offered Tyrese Maxey in the Kyle Lowry trade, and the Raptors said no. In hindsight, of course, horrific. But I believe a sticking point, yes, was Matisse Thybulle. If only we knew, huh? If only we knew. We do need a rebounder. We do need to add in a rebounder. And we were talking about Jakob Poeltl, but the Raptors still need a rebounder. They still need additional help in the center position. It doesn't need to be a huge investment, but there's a potential that they will look to the NBA draft to solve this position. And based off of the most recent batch of workouts the Raptors have handed out, they could be looking at a player like Zach Edey or others. We're going to talk about the 6 players the Raptors did bring in for a workout here to try and get a sense of what they're currently looking for and what they're currently shopping for to fill out the rest of this team. For starters, I mean, the big one is Zach Edey. Zach Edey is the headline one here. The Raptors have given Zach Edey a workout. They've brought him in. I mean, they're doing their job here. Look, they're going to work out a ton of players, but this was the most recent batch of players that the Raptors had decided to give a workout to, just to get a sense of what they could bring to the team. So on top of Zach Edey being there, they brought in Keon Brooks Jr., Joseph Girard III, Jameer Young, and also other Canadian players like Emmanuel Miller, who actually is the brother of Leonard Miller, drafted into the NBA last season, and Tyrese Samuel. Again, 2 Canadians over there. We're getting ready for that June 26th draft, which also is the second round on June 27th, which a lot of the players that I have just spoken about here will be hoping to be involved with, because this is a really strange batch that has come out here. Not strange in the sense that the Raptors are working out these players, but it's strange that they've brought in these 6 specifically, or at least these 5 specifically, alongside Zach Edey. Zach Edey is projected to be either late lottery or late lottery or just outside of the lottery. At least that's where ESPN has him, and some other major mock drafts are starting to put him a little bit higher. Some still have him in the latter stage of the first round or very early parts of the second round, but we still don't have quite the general consensus on where Zach Edey is going to end up. But, I mean, he's getting drafted. And, again, there's a potential for him to fall in the late lottery here. But the rest of the guys here, with respect, the rest of the guys here would probably struggle to even get drafted. It's a strange batch of players to look at here. But let's have a look at the type of players the Raptors are giving themselves a look at, starting with Keon Brooks. Keon Brooks played all 5 years of college basketball, was supposed to go into the draft last year, didn't end up doing it. I think a lot of the fringe draft guys last year probably looked at the 2024 class and said, I have a better chance of getting in the draft in this one, but he's just an energetic guy. He plays both 4 positions, can play as the 4, can play as a 3, and he's got a big motor, a lot of energy. The intangibles are there, but pretty much he can score a bit in mid-range, get to the rim, doesn't have a 3-point shot, really. If he did, well, he'd probably get drafted. That's the difference for Keon Brooks here, but yeah, his last season of college basketball might showcase, might give you a sense that, okay, could something happen here? Like, he shot less than 30% in his first 4 years of college ball, but in his most recent season, jumped up to 38% from 3. Impressive enough to, get a workout or 2 and get invited to the G League Combine, but yeah, here's a guy, Keon Brooks, that is going to struggle to get drafted. He'll have to showcase a lot more three-point shooting to get himself in that position. If you do want shooting, and if the Raptors do want shooting, then Joe Girard III is the guy that they should be looking at in this position here. He's the opposite, pretty much. Joe Girard III out of Clemson, he only shoots. That's all he does. If he wanted to be in further draft considerations, he would really have to take on some more. So he just have to bring on more to his game in other positions, but just didn't really do that. Shot the hell out of the ball. He's always been a good shooter, but other than that, just doesn't really offer much to your team. This is just not the type of guy that really ends up in the NBA, on NBA rosters. It's somebody who definitely fits the bill of a college player and a successful one at that. Not so much the NBA. A bit of a strange one for the Raptors to take a look at, in all honesty. Like, at least with Keon Brooks, you've got a switchable player who can maybe play, give you an energy spot on defense, especially in the G League. But Joe Girard doesn't really make a lot of sense there. Same can be said for Jameer Young. Like, you've got another athlete here, another guy who can play as both the forward positions, but just doesn't bring a lot scoring-wise, is a super inefficient player. I get they're doing their homework, trying to check as many players as possible, but Jameer Young is just a weird one for the Raptors to look at. What is a little bit less weird, perhaps, is looking at Emmanuel Miller, Canadian player playing at a TCU right now, brother of Leonard Miller, currently in the NBA. Emmanuel Miller is not quite as good as his brother here, but this does more so fit the bill of what the Raptors could be looking for. Maybe as a chance to end up later in the second round. Won't be on the Raptors' radar almost certainly with the 31st overall pick. I mean, I just cannot see that coming to fruition at all. I think he'd be pretty fortunate to get drafted, but here's a guy, again, who's got the length, got the size, versatility that piques the Raptors' interest, and some efficiency. Shot the ball 38% from three in college this season, a 5-year player, granted, and just under 50% from the field. Maybe somebody the Raptors take a stab on, throw him in the G League and see what they can get out of him, and perhaps the same could be said for Tyrese Samuel. But overall, this is a strange batch of players for the Raptors to pair with Zach Edey, or at least put with Zach Edey. I don't know. Out of all the players here, Emmanuel Miller is the only one I could really see having a chance to really get signed by the Raptors. But I guess this is the whole draft process here. You got to do your homework. You got to look at every possible player just so you don't miss out on anything at all. But Zach Edey still continues to baffle me. Yeah, we're looking at some poor players here, but you look for the undrafted free agents. You look for the guys you can put into your G League system. You look for guys with some sliver potential to see what they can bring you there. It was kind of like last year with Marquise Noel. Put him in the G League, see what he can do for your team. Had a really good, successful G League season. Will things continue there? We shall see going forward. But Zach Edey continues to be a bit of a head scratcher for me. It doesn't make sense to use that your 19th. It's likely that if the Raptors want Edey, that it has to be 19th overall. It doesn't make sense to draft him 19th overall when there are so much more glaring holes with your team, and you already have Jakob Poeltl locked up on your team for 3 more years. And Edey is just simply not as good as Jakob Poeltl. Just straight up, Edey is not as good as Jakob Poeltl is. So all of this is just a touch confusing for myself, but hey, these are the guys the Raptors are getting a look at, and at least we have the confirmation here that they are getting themselves a look at Zach Edey to see what he can provide. Going to do their homework, of course, as always. See what they have there. Maybe put him through the ringer shooting-wise. Maybe put him through the ringer in showcasing his lateral quickness, what he can do in those positions. I wish all the best. Zach Edey's a Canadian. I'm a Canadian. I want to see Canadian players succeed. Zach Edey's also said he wants to go to the Olympics, and he probably will make it because the Canadian team has no size, really. I want to see Canadians succeed, but it just makes me way too nervous to use a 19th overall pick on. Still out on Zach Edey unless something drastic changes, man. I know he's balling in college. I mean, a lot of the guys I just showed you who are not going to get drafted were balling in college, but the NBA is different. That's just the thing. The NBA is a different beast. Yeah, it's just completely different. you have any idea who we're going to select 19th overall? I mean, I have no. I don't have a. I mean, I have a general idea of the types of players they'll be considering. Did a video today on Carlton Carrington. Very much want to look at him. Devin Carter is my guy in that spot. When I started covering Devin Carter, it was like, yeah, he'll probably be available at 19th overall. This is an amazing pick for the Raptors if he's there. Now, some reports have come out making it seem like he will not be there at 19th overall, which sucks. I really like Devin Carter. Carrington is good. They could look for centers. Khalil Ware kind of gives me a bit of interest if the Raptors want to go in the center direction, but I still am looking at point guards, really. I think Isaiah Collier could even fall that far. Yeah. What if they make a deal with OKC for Jakob Poeltl, then draft Zach Edey, which would be OKC don't have their pick. Do they? Because that was the 29th overall pick, which does not belong to the Thunder. Unless they have a different pick, which I'm forgetting. OKC have 12. Holy shit. Okay. Right, bro. If we trade up to 12 to draft Zach Edey, I will be upset. I will be upset. Yeah. I'm saying I probably don't want Zach Edey at 19. Trade up to get the 12th to draft him is ludicrous to me. Yeah. No, thank you. I don't think the Raptors are going to trade up in this draft. I don't think they see enough to want to actually move up for this draft. It's clearly they don't value this draft that much. The way they were actively trying to avoid getting picks for this draft, but I've been wrong about a lot of things. So maybe they do take him. It just doesn't seem like the type of guy the Raptors would typically go for. Tyler Smith is an interesting one. I plan on doing a full video for him eventually. Just the size there is really interesting, really intriguing. In that spot, a guy who can shoot at that size. You have to worry about the defense, but maybe some of the Raptors can work with. I am interested there. Did I misread the comment? I'm saying the Thunder trade for Jakob, but then we draft. Oh. Well, you'd have to get a fucking haul out of... you'd have to get a haul out of the Thunder. One trade I actually think has potential, and this is... I'll show you guys. I did go through it today. I was live on the Bleach Report app earlier, and this was one of the trades that I did go through. And I'm trying to find it. If the Raptors are going to trade Poeltl, I think that this is a decent one to consider it being. Not to the Thunder, but... I don't think this is a fantastic fit trade. I just think you're getting you're getting a good return here that it almost might be worth just doing and figuring it out later. You get the 9th overall pick, Brandon Clark, who can play as a stretch 5, not ideal, but as a stretch 5, and Zaire Williams. This is one that Bleacher Report posted actually in one of their mock drafts, but Jakob Poeltl is a phenomenal fit next to Jaren Jackson. Jaren Jackson at the 4 is way better than at the 5. He's better as the help defender, which also, by the way, is the way Scotty Barnes should be deployed defensively at Darko Rakovic. But Scotty could be a fucking freak there. Anyways, Brandon Clark I really like, but the fit, you'd have to have some questions. You'd probably need to find a center somewhere. In this case, you would very likely have to go center at 19th overall, but I like Clark. 9th overall pick, you can go for somebody like Ron Holland, not a shooter, but a switchable defender, which is something that this team needs with high upside athleticism. You go a lot of different directions with the 9th overall pick. I wouldn't go center there. Go center at 19 in that case. A lot of centers in that area, but yeah, this is one that if you are going to trade Poeltl, I don't think that one's that bad. Some people like Brandon Clark. Some people don't. I do like Brandon Clark, but you still need a center there. Yeah, Jaren Jackson did win Defensive Player of the Year because he played next to Steven Adams, who could play as a 4. Yeah, that's what he does. He's way better with a big, and they could recognize that. They could get that big with Jakob Poeltl, get that pick and roll partner there as well. Who's dreaming of this draft? We all know the draft class isn't great. I didn't realize how bad it was until I started looking into it. Like, the guys in like the top 4 have tons of flaws. Like, usually when I look at the draft, the top 4 picks are like perfect prospects who are like nothing wrong really. This year, like the top 4 pick is like, hopefully he can develop into a starter at some point in his career. What? You know what I mean? It's just crazy that's the crop in like guys in the top, like guys who were projected to go 19th a few weeks ago are in some spots projected top 5 now. Like Dalton Connect, I thought he could end up around 19th. Now he's going to be like, now there's like mock drafts who have him like, I saw one he was 4th, man. Masai would want the world for Yak. Maybe so, but it's very hard to find a center as we've learned previously. So having to go do that again would be a challenge. So to make that challenge worthwhile, you need a really good return. There. Funny enough, there's more value in that trade than there was in the Siakam deal. I don't agree, actually. This is how I want to frame the Siakam trade. I actually did frame it this way today. It doesn't look good on the surface, but they got the 19th overall pick. They got the 29th overall pick in a bad draft, which they turned into Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji. Pretty good. Olynyk extended. And they got a 2026 pick from the Pacers. On top of also getting Bruce Brown, who they can flip for a first-round pick. So it's going to turn into 2 probably decent first, 2 bad first, but like it'll turn into 2 okay first, like the 19th or whatever the 2026 pick is. Possibly a decent first for Bruce Brown and Kelly Olynyk and Ochai Agbaji. That's not that bad considering Siakam was on an expiring contract. I think they could have gotten more had they acted sooner for sure, but I don't think it's that. I think we're making it look a lot better now with the moves we've made since then. It's the best role player draft of all time. I might concur with you there. And hey, you need him to win championships. You need him to win. So make your mark in whichever way you want. I don't think Bruce Brown's worth a first round pick. I very much do. I'd be very surprised if we come away from the Bruce Brown saga having not acquired a first round pick, or at the very least, gotten value like player wise. But I think teams will be knocking with first round picks for Bruce Brown at some point. You need role players, guarantee that. Exactly. Wanted to finish off with a bit of a more funny, I guess, piece of news in this one. Definitely did not have this on my 2024 bingo card, but a former Raptors point guard has turned into a dual professional athlete in the recent week. And we have footage from the event as well, which showcases whether or not he has actual talent there. Let's have a look here. The player in question is, of course, Dennis Schroeder. Former Toronto Raptors point guard Dennis Schroeder made his first professional soccer appearance for, good grief, FC Germania Bleckenstedt. Did my best there, of the German league. So if anybody doesn't know, with soccer, there are different tiers of leagues. There's but for Germany, there's the Bundesliga. Then there is the second tier, the third tier, and so on and so forth. There's relegation, promotion. This team, which I'm not going to repeat the name for, is in the 6th tier of German soccer. So yes, it's professional, very low level professional. The guys that are on, guys that would be on this team, I don't know for sure, but I am going to basically guarantee you guys that is not their main job. That's a bit of a side gig here. And Dennis Schroeder, hey, props to him. He played a professional soccer game there. So we will absolutely give credit for that, but maybe a little bit less credit when we learn about, the amount of ads here. A little bit less credit when we figure out how it happened. The game was set up by Schroeder's brother-in-law, who currently plays for that team. But that's how it ended up happening for Dennis Schroeder, because his brother-in-law played for the team. Did play 62 minutes of the 90. They lost 5-1. But hey, look, played a professional soccer game. Not everybody can say that. Here's a couple of pieces of footage from the game. You really do see how tall NBA players are when they're with like normal sized people, even as a point guard, Dennis Schroeder. But I knew as soon as I saw this story, I had to find highlights from it. And thankfully, we got him. So let's take a look here. Now, I'm not like, the god of soccer here, but I did play at a high level for a very long time, so I do understand the nuance of the game. So I kind of want to critique what I see from Dennis Schroeder. Does he actually know how to play? We know this probably was a little bit of a publicity stunt or just some fun for Dennis Schroeder, but does he actually have the ability to play in some capacity? Here are the highlights from the event here. So decent touch there. What I do notice is that he's like decent touch there. He's very calm and maybe to a bit of a fault, a bit casual on the ball, but he's very calm and composed at the very least. This one, we're grasping at the highlights here, but this play here made me a bit like, I don't know about that. Didn't seem to have a lot of control here to know what he wanted to do with it, but yeah, this probably horrible cross didn't go anywhere, but It didn't seem like from this video that he was completely lost or anything, which I kind of thought he would be based on the headline here and before I watched the video. He doesn't look extraordinarily out of play. I mean, look, his teammate just wellied it 30 yards across the field. Does he take it down still? Well, horrible pass, but yeah. I mean, maybe I'm overrating 6th tier German soccer. Maybe based on the one highlight I have his teammate, they don't really know as much about what they're doing either. But judging from the footage, yeah, he looks solid. He didn't look completely out of space. He pulled a Michael Jordan, like Michael Jordan did with baseball, where, granted, Jordan was playing minor league baseball, a very high level, and honestly, before his return to the NBA, was slowly starting to improve. Not sure he ever would have gotten to the professional level, the top tier professional level for baseball, but yeah, somewhat impressive. It made me want to think about the types of players that have done, or perhaps former NBA players, especially, who have had the ability to play multiple sports. Typically, soccer, I find, is just not something that, like, if you're an athlete, it's like, if you're a super athlete, you can pick up some sports, like, to a certain degree, basketball, your jump shot won't be there. To a certain degree, I'm not trying to downplay any other sport, but to a certain degree, you can pick little things up. It's very difficult to shift your athletic mindset towards your feet playing soccer if you've never done it before. So, it's credit to Schroeder being able to do that. Typically, for basketball players, a lot of the times you see talks and comparisons of football coming into play. And one of the players that I want to highlight here is, of course, LeBron James. Always kind of curious if LeBron ever had the ability to play as a football player. In high school, he was pretty dominant. I think we'll run into some copyright issues if I show the LeBron highlights here. But just based off his numbers here, as a sophomore, 46 catches for 905 yards. As a junior, 57 catches for 1,160 yards at 23 touchdowns over the 2 seasons. LeBron himself mentioned that if he had a better quarterback, throwing his QB under the bus, but if he had a better quarterback, potentially he could have been even better. But LeBron James, I mean, he's a freak of nature athlete. Just the sheer size might have an ability to make him maybe, potentially, NFL caliber. Like, he was named an All-Ohio wide receiver, and there were some players there were some teams who actually made some attempts to bring in LeBron James as a football player to their college. And like, these are top tier D1 teams as well, right? These aren't just random schools. These are big time schools. Ultimately, what came of it is that LeBron was never going to give up basketball. He was the chosen one, the king, the prodigy. That was never going to change. But one player who maybe would have had a change of heart from a sporting standpoint who maybe didn't have the drive as an athlete to be a champion, more so just the drive for fame and finances. One player who may have chosen football in a different route was actually Wilt Chamberlain. Wilt Chamberlain, a bit of a history with this channel because one of my first popular videos of the channel was a Wilt Chamberlain based video. But Hall of Fame NFL coach Hank Stram said that he rolled up to a practice one year, to camp one year. He ran a 4.4 40-yard dash in dress shoes. He was faster than Jerry Rice, likely the greatest wide receiver of all time. And, Wilt was a monster. He was over 7 feet tall. He had humongous hands, yet could potentially play as a wide receiver in football. Hank Stram did his best. Again, this is a Hall of Fame NFL coach we're talking about here. Won 2 Super Bowls. Talking about Wilt Chamberlain like this. And when asked about why he didn't sign him, it's because Wilt Chamberlain wanted to play quarterback and not wide receiver. Had Wilt had the desire to play as a wide receiver, potentially he could have ended up in the NFL. And what's also insane about Wilt Chamberlain, not only was he potentially good enough to be a pro football player, seemingly one of the greatest football players of all time, Wilt Chamberlain is one of the probably less than a handful of athletes, might be the only one, who is a Hall of Famer in 2 different sports. He's obviously in the National Basketball Hall of Fame, but Wilt Chamberlain as well is in a volleyball Hall of Fame. I'm going to find the exact name for that Hall of Fame, but Wilt Chamberlain, at the end of his NBA career, started playing professional volleyball and ended up becoming a Hall of Famer in that one as well. He is in the International Volleyball Association Hall of Fame. Wow. Simply incredible for Wilt Chamberlain to have achieved a feat like that. Dennis Schroeder, look, I think that any player who has somewhat of an ability to play professionally in multiple sports is impressive, but Dennis Schroeder, when it comes to the hierarchy of dual sport athletes, Dennis probably a little bit lower on the list, as impressive as it is. Wilt playing against volleyball farmers as well. Well, being that tall and that athletic gives you an inherent advantage when you play volleyball. That's for damn sure. Most NBA athletes would be the best on every sports team in high school, I would imagine. Yeah, I can definitely see that for football, obviously for basketball. The ones you can't just fluke into it as an athlete, like soccer, you just you can't fluke into that. And baseball, I know a lot of guys are dual sport athletes who played baseball. Like Kyler Murray was so good at baseball that even though everyone knew he was going into the NFL and got selected 2nd overall by the Arizona Cardinals, he was so good at baseball that still the Oakland Athletics tried to lure him in by drafting him 9th overall in the MLB draft. That's how good he was. But it's hard to fluke baseball. It's like even the best hit the ball less than a third of the time. It's hard to do, right? Vince Carter would have been a Hall of Fame pro volleyball player. I mean, the way these guys can jump, they probably have a lot of ability there. You need a bit more than that. You need to be able to pass, but yeah, it's crazy. Wasn't Wilt a track star as well? Yes. Was an amazing one. There was just no money in it, really. He was all about money. He didn't play his first season in the NBA until later because he made more money playing for the Harlem Globetrotters. So he played for them instead of playing in the NBA. Then he went to the NBA and won MVP in his rookie season. As a rookie, he won MVP. Really long distance running would be hard too. That's true. These are more short. That's true. We're not talking as much about the longer length stuff. These guys would be short form stuff, which is what Wilt Chamberlain was a specialist at. But and high jump, Wilt Chamberlain was exceptional apparently. Yeah, these guys are freaks of nature. Essentially, is what I'm saying. A lot of these guys, maybe not as much Dennis Schroeder. Tennis is very hard to fluke as well. I think I'm thinking of football. You can if you're a super athlete, you can probably be a wide receiver or a cornerback or something, like a super athlete. Then again, there's a lot of super athletes who play other positions in the NFL. I don't know. Maybe I don't know enough about football. Anyways, guys, just past 7 o'clock. Any final questions, comments, thoughts you guys want to discuss before we end off the stream? Please let me know. Want to remind you guys, Thursday, I'll be doing a watch party for the NBA Finals Game 1 on the Board YouTube channel, youtube.com/attheboard. I will put the link to that channel in the chat right now. That's where I do my I work for a company called The Hammer. That's where we do our NBA content. So please check it out over there on Thursday. But if you do want to see a watch party right here on Amateur Sports, you can check out. I should be. I'm not going to guarantee, but I'm going to try to be live Sunday for a Game 2 watch party. Other stuff to look out for the rest of the week. Tomorrow I'm going to be discussing a specific trade rumor associated with the Raptors that I find a little funny. Friday, Khalil Ware draft profile is what I am projected to be doing, as long as I don't find an insect infestation in my apartment, as long as my dog doesn't have to go to the hospital, as long as I don't tear another major ligament in my body, or any other crazy thing that could happen to me to stop me from doing a video. Khalil Ware draft profile on Friday. What else did I do? Pinned in the chat right now is the link to the stream I did on the Bleacher Report app today. Check it out. I did some more coverage on Bruce Brown trades, but I discussed Jakob Poeltl and Chris Boucher and Jakob Poeltl trade at length, which I have not done on any of the Amateur Sports channels. So there's stuff over there that you have not seen over here. So if you do have more time right now, go check out my Bleacher Report stream. Also, if you do go check it out, it's awesome because when it gets more views, I'm more likely to return to the Bleacher Report app for more content in the future. I am doing 2 more in the month of June, but down the line, would love to get more opportunities there. The better they perform, the more likely I am to be back over there doing some more amazing Raptors content. And it's all thanks to you guys. Thank you so much. If you did enjoy this one, make sure you do smash the like button on your way out. Drive this up in the YouTube algorithm. Support the content. If you're new to the channel, make sure you're subscribed as well. I got the Boston Celtics in the finals, but I very much hope I'm wrong, and I very much hope the Dallas Mavericks come through and snatch victory over there. All right, guys. Thank you, everybody. Oh, hockey? It's close to a toss-up, but Florida are slightly favored. I actually am not on the side of people who are against another Canadian team winning. I'd like for a Canadian team to win, and I think it'd be cool if McDavid did win his first Stanley Cup. All right, guys. Enjoy the middle stage of your week. Back tomorrow for the video. Thursday watch party on the board. Sunday watch party on this channel. Hopefully, no